In March 2025, the world watched as the United States Navy deployed several of its most powerful warships, including the United States ships Awime, an assault ship that doubles as an aircraft carrier, toward the waters of Venezuela. The mission remained shrouded in secrecy, but its implications were undeniable. As one of the largest military forces in the world, the US has long been known for its technological innovations and military might. However, the appearance of these massive vessels off the coast of Venezuela raised a critical question. Could this be the beginning of a new military confrontation, or was it a calculated move to deal with an ongoing problem in the region? A brief history of US-Venezuela relations. The tension between the United States and Venezuela is not new. For decades, the two nations have been locked in a political standoff, with both sides viewing each other with deep suspicion. This history of animosity dates back to the rise of Hugo Chavez, who became the president of Venezuela in 1999. Chavez, a self-styled revolutionary, was fiercely critical of US foreign policy and sought to create a coalition of Latin American nations that opposed American influence in the region. His Bolivarian revolution aimed to steer Venezuela away from US influence and toward alliances with countries like Russia, China, and Cuba. His rhetoric painted the US as imperialists seeking to dominate Latin America, and this antagonistic stance has remained a defining feature of Venezuela's foreign policy under his successor, Nicolás Maduro. Despite repeated attempts by the US to foster better relations, Venezuela has remained steadfast in its opposition. The US has accused Venezuela of harboring drug cartels, particularly the infamous Cartel of the Suns, which allegedly uses the country's lax border controls to traffic drugs and weapons worldwide. This led to a series of sanctions and diplomatic measures designed to isolate Venezuela, further deepening the rift between the two nations. The US military presence in the Caribbean. While the US Navy is no stranger to projecting military power globally, the deployment of its warships to the Caribbean in 2025 signaled a major escalation in its efforts to curb illegal activities in the region. The United States ships Awime, commissioned in 2001 as part of the Wasp-class amphibious assault ships, has been an essential tool in the United States' efforts to combat drug trafficking. The ship is equipped to launch airstrikes and provide rapid response in coastal and maritime operations, including chasing down drug-running vessels. In recent years, the US military has been engaged in an ongoing battle against transnational criminal organizations that use the Caribbean and surrounding seas as trafficking routes. The use of sophisticated technologies by drug cartels, including submarines and fast boats, has made it difficult for even the most advanced military forces to effectively monitor these waterways. To counter this threat, the US has intensified its efforts to disrupt drug operations by deploying its vast naval resources to patrol these waters. One of the key motivations behind this increased military presence is the growing influence of powerful cartels like Mexico's Sinaloa and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, both of which have been linked to vast amounts of cocaine, methamphetamine, and other illegal substances entering the US. The problem has only been exacerbated by Venezuela's perceived complicity in allowing these operations to flourish unchecked. Venezuela's role in the global drug trade. Venezuela's proximity to Colombia, the world's largest producer of cocaine, has made it a strategic partner for drug cartels seeking to move their illicit goods out of South America. The United States has long accused Venezuela of providing a safe haven for these criminal organizations, which operate with the complicity of government officials and military personnel. The Cartel of the Suns, allegedly named after the sun-shaped insignia worn by Venezuelan military officials, is believed to be a major player in this illegal network. The cartel operates through several key channels, facilitating drug shipments by air, land, and sea, offering military protection to traffickers, and using the Venezuelan military to ensure the free passage of illicit goods. The US government's designation of Venezuela as a narco state is rooted in these allegations. US officials argue that the Venezuelan government's failure to address these trafficking routes has allowed criminal organizations to flourish, further destabilizing the region and exacerbating the flow of drugs into the United States. The Trump administration's response. In response to these ongoing issues, the Trump administration made a significant policy shift in 2025 by officially designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. This move provided the legal framework for the US to take more direct action against these groups, including using military force. The decision was a culmination of years of escalating frustration with the failure of diplomatic and intelligence measures to curb drug drug trafficking from Venezuela. As part of this new strategy, the US deployed a formidable fleet of warships, including the United States ships Awame, United States ships Fort Lauderdale, United States ship San Antonio, and several others. These ships, along with a nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine, were tasked with disrupting drug operations off the coast of Venezuela. One of the most notable actions taken during this operation was the targeting of a vessel believed to be smuggling drugs for the notorious Tren de Aragua gang. The vessel, a go-fast boat, was destroyed by a missile strike, reportedly an AGM-114 Hellfire missile, killing 11 individuals involved in the operation. The US government hailed this as a victory in the fight against drug trafficking, with President Trump posting a statement warning drug traffickers worldwide that the US would no longer tolerate such operations. Venezuela's reaction. Unsurprisingly, the Venezuelan government has vehemently condemned the US military's actions. President Nicolas Maduro, who has long criticized US interventionism, called the attack a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty. He accused the United States of attempting to destabilize his government and of preparing for war. Maduro's rhetoric has become increasingly belligerent in response to US actions, warning that any further military escalation would lead to armed conflict. He framed the situation as a fight for Venezuela's sovereignty and declared that the country would defend itself in arms if provoked. He even went so far as to describe the United States as the biggest threat to peace in the region in the last century. This fiery rhetoric has raised concerns that the situation could escalate into full-scale warfare, with the US now openly engaging in military strikes and the Venezuelan government vowing to retaliate. The potential for conflict is undeniable. A clash of ideologies. The US-Venezuela standoff is not just a clash over drug trafficking. It represents a broader ideological struggle between two visions for Latin America. On one side, the US seeks to impose its influence and stabilize the region, while on the other, Venezuela sees itself as a champion of resistance against American imperialism. Venezuela's alliances with Russia, China, and Cuba further complicate matters. These countries have been vocal critics of US foreign policy and have provided military and financial support to the Maduro government. This geopolitical dimension could transform the conflict into a much larger regional issue, potentially involving multiple international players. The path forward: war or diplomacy. With tensions at a boiling point, the future of US-Venezuela relations remains uncertain. While both sides have made it clear that they are prepared for conflict, there is still the possibility for diplomatic intervention. International organizations such as the United Nations could play a crucial role in facilitating dialogue and de-escalating the situation. However, with both sides entrenched in their positions, it may take more than diplomatic efforts to prevent the situation from escalating into full-scale war. The next few months will be critical in determining whether this confrontation leads to a larger regional conflict or if a diplomatic solution can be found. If you found this video insightful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the US-Venezuela tensions in the comments below. Do you think this could lead to war, or will diplomacy prevail? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.